So, if you do actually need a life jacket to feel comfortable while on my boat, well, you can find it just right under this helm here, under these two hatches. We have about 41 life jackets out under those hatches. One for me, 40 for the rest of you. Sound good? Yep. All right, sounds good. Now we begin our tour here right at River Center Mall. And well, if you can't tell me why we call this River Center Mall, then I think you might be dense. Well, that's because there's a river directly in the center of the mall. And we have over 100 retailers right inside this river mall for you to choose from. And well, let me tell you, there's so much for you to do inside here. They actually expect you to spend an entire day right inside this mall. And well, that's because they got their River Center Marriott right next door. So you guys can spend the entire night here as well. So you can literally shop till you drop right inside the River Center Mall, right on one of the River Center Marriott hotel rooms. And well, let me tell you, this whole complex here was built around in 1988, and before they were able to actually build their River Center Marriott on the site that it is currently, they actually had to do a little preparation because the site that the River Center Marriott is standing on is a historical site. But this River Center Marriott is not a historical building. The building that was originally down there was a historical building. It went by the name of the Fairmont Hotel. It was built around 1906. It got its historical designation around the 1970s, so way before they came down here to build their River Center Marriott. So they weren't allowed just to demolish the Fairmont Hotel and build right over it with their brand new River Center Marriott. No, the only way that they would actually allow the River Center Marriott to build on the site of the Fairmont Hotel is if somehow they were able to preserve the Fairmont Hotel, the historical building. Well, the only way that they could come up with to actually preserve that building was by moving it. By lifting it up with a bunch of pulleys, putting it down 36 alleys, moving it 6 blocks over, all the way to South Alamo Nueva, where they had a just vacant lot just waiting for it to spend the rest of its days. It weren't standing there today. And well, when we moved the Fairmont Hotel, it took us about 6 days to move that building down 6 blocks. And when it occurred, it was the largest recorded move in history. Now guys, if you look here on the right side of our boat, you'll see a depiction of St. Anthony of Padua. Now that is the saint that we actually named our city after. And while in this depiction, y'all can see that he's holding a little baby doing a cheap pose like this. Does anyone know the name of that child?
I thought it was Jesus.
Now here, baby Jesus.
I thought it was.
It's good enough. It's the Christ child. Well, let me tell you guys, the depiction of St. Anthony of Padua has a Christ child in it because they both went through a little bit of controversy together. They were both recently on an episode of Maury Povich. Turns out he's not the father, but he is a father and patron saint of lost children and lost items. So guys, the Christ child is just lost and Anthony found it. And if you actually do end up losing an item that means value to you, down here on the River Walk, you can actually say a little prayer to St. Anthony of Padua to help you find it. And hopefully it'll answer your prayer by showing you wherever it's at. Well, this prayer goes a little something like this. Something lost, nothing found. Please, St. Anthony, won't you come around? And when you say the come around part, you're actually supposed to do a little spin in place. When you do that spin in place, you'll find whatever you're looking for, just around you. Sorry to say, only works 5 times out of 10. That's just my luck. Maybe St. Anthony likes you more. Now, if you look here on the right side of our boat, actually, no, I won't talk about it. We are coming right up over near the Hilton de Palacio del Rio. You'll see it here on the left side of our boat. Now, the Hilton de Palacio del Rio is the hotel that we're about to see when we come out from under this bridge here. And well, the Hilton de Palacio del Rio was built here just for the 1968 World's Fair. And well, this whole section of the river that we're currently in was actually all excavated out just for the World's Fair of 1968. And well, the Hilton de Palacio del Rio was actually a pickup location for the boats that would take you right over to the World's Fair. That was happening just right under the Tower of America Fair Park. Now, we're heading right under Alamo Street. If you want to get over the Alamo, just walk through that.
So they wanted to raise every quick week of all the river hotel down here through the fairgrounds.
Now guys, we're actually under a little statue that's up here on Alamo Street. On the statue, you're going to be able to see it as soon as you pass under this little footbridge. And you're going to see the statue up on Alamo Street. So just look right behind me. Right up on Alamo Street, you'll see the statue. And well, it doesn't look like much. It doesn't look like anything at all. And well, that's because it is an abstract art piece, and well, it's not meant to look like anything. All that's supposed to do is invoke some type of feeling. And well, that feeling that you're supposed to feel when you're looking at this art piece, it's supposed to be that warm, fuzzy feeling right up here, guys. It's called friendship. And that's because it was a gift from Monterrey, Mexico, to the city of San Antonio to show the deep ties between the two cities. And if you actually go to Monterrey, you'll see that they have the same statue done by the same artist, Sebastian. And it only is about 65 feet tall, weighs about 45 tons. It was erected around here in 2002. Now, all you need to know when you look at that statue is the deep ties between the two cities of San Antonio and Monterrey. Now, guys, you'll see over here on the left, the Hilton Palacio del Rio. Now, if you look inside of the building, you can actually see how they built it just in time for the World Fair 1958. If you look over here on the right, you'll see the location of where you guys can get onto the boats. You want to see at this location? It's a very fine location, but it's not the best one. But it's only where I think you guys up there. Now, this ticketing location took us about 12 months to build. Over here on the left, the Hilton Palacio del Rio took us about 6 months to build, just in time for the World's Fair of 1968. And when you'll actually see how they were able to finish it just in time for the World's Fair of 1968, just by looking at the side of this building, you'll see all these boxes jutting out the side. Well, all those boxes are all the hotel rooms of the Hilton Palacio del Rio. And well, all those hotel rooms, they were all prefabricated 7 miles south on a monolith scale. And well, what I mean by prefabricated is that they already had the beds, they already had the nightstands, they already had the dressers, they already had the TVs, they already had the electrical all set up. They even had the guinea violin inside the nightstand, all ready to go, just 7 miles south of San Antonio. And as soon as they had all those rooms ready, they did the first 4 floors of the building, the concrete tower in the middle, and put a 2-ton crane in the middle of that concrete tower. They used that 2-ton crane to lift up the rooms off the flatbed trucks that they hauled them up on. And started stacking those rooms one on top of the other until they reached about 35 stories. And well, as soon as they placed down those rooms, they're actually able to be lived in because they were all prefabricated. And we were able to open it up just days before the World's Fair started in a world record-breaking amount of time. Only 202 working days. The fastest time any known building of that size has been completed. And well, if you guys don't believe me about that one, you can actually look it up on the Guinness Book of World Records. We still hold that record to this day. Now, I'm coming right next to the La Vallita. You'll see here on the left. The La Vallita is actually the first historic district of San Antonio. It's also the first neighborhood that was established by the Spanish all the way back in 1716. They were the first ones that integrated here. And well, later on, they had a lot more people that followed, like German and French immigrants. Well, if you go inside La Vallita, you'll see that they have a mixture of 2 of those different type of architectures, German and French and Spanish colonial, all mixed together inside La Vallita. Now, La Vallita, I've been told, is supposed to translate from Spanish to English as little village. But this little village is actually where they had the cannon line for the Battle of the Alamo during the Battle of the Alamo. Now, that was actually Santa Anna's cannon line when he was trying to take the Alamo checkpoint. Now, if you look here on the right side of our boat, you'll see this little stage. Now, this is our River Arneson Theater stage. Now, this stage was featured in a very popular movie. Actually went by the name of Miss Congeniality. We actually had Sandra Bullock to ride up on stage here wearing a swimsuit for the swimsuit portion of Miss America. It all took place right up on stage there in 1998, later on released in 2000. Now, we're passing out this footbridge. This footbridge was actually dedicated to Rosita Fernandez, the first female Tejano woman to use it. Now it's dedicated to LBJ's wife, Lady Bird Johnson. Now if you look here on the right side of our boat, you'll see the Frisco Western Art Museum. Now the Frisco is actually named after our late great Texas Governor, Del Frisco Jr. and his wife Nancy. They opened up around in 2011 inside the old public library of San Antonio. This building was actually constructed all the way back in 1930 to be the first public library of San Antonio. Well, during the 1968 World's Fair, it was known as the Hertzberg Circus Museum. And now it's just at the Frisco. And well, you might ask me, what type of exhibits would they have at a circus museum? Well, they actually had the world's tiniest circus inside the Hertzberg Circus Museum. And well, it's an exhibition that was just a shoebox and a bunch of chimps, little fleas inside. Now, we're going to be coming right under this little low clearing bridge here, and this is very low clearing. So whatever you do, don't stand up. And if you're a 7-foot basketball player, please don't. Now, this bridge right here is actually a very special type of bridge. It's what we call a Rosetta Bridge or a truss bridge. It is completely bolted together. There is no welding whatsoever involved. And all those parts for this bridge were actually manufactured in a little place called Berlin, Connecticut. Now, if you look here on the right side of our boat, you'll actually see the most magical spot down here on the river wall. This is the island. It's on the right side of our boat. Now, this island here is actually where we have about 300 marriages and proposals happen alone in 1 year. Right on top of this island. And well, that's because this island is heart-shaped. Due to this island being heart-shaped, any marriage that occurs upon this island gets good fortune, prosperity, and longevity added to their marriage for about 100 years, all for occurring upon a heart-shaped island. Well, I'll have you guys know, my sister has gotten married on the island about 3 different times. She's not 300 years old. Well, we're going to be coming up alongside the West End Hotel. You'll see over here on the right side of our boat. And while the West End, this is actually where we have the competitors of our Spurgate stay, right at the top 2 floors. And one of those are the luxury suites, of course they stay in the luxury suite. And you might ask me, hey, Alan, isn't this pretty far from the AT&T Center? Well, you're right. It is pretty far from where they actually play. But what hotel do you know that's next to the AT&T Center? That's right, none. That's because the AT&T Center is out the boondocks of San Antonio. Why is the AT&T Center out of the boondocks of San Antonio? It was free real estate. Now, if you look here on the left side of our boat, you'll actually see the most iconic building within all of downtown San Antonio. And it's called the Tower of Life. And well, when you look at this building, you can tell that's the Tower of Life because we have a 100-foot tall flagpole at the top. And well, it's the tallest building west of the Mississippi when it opened up in 1929. So it dominates most of the skyline of the historical skyline of San Antonio. Now we call this building the Tower of Life because it was owned by a life insurance firm. They went by the name of Smith & Young. They had just come from the country of Germany and came down to the city of San Antonio, Texas to actually enterprise their life insurance firm. Now, they asked the team of architects that they hired to build this building for them for around $3 million, Robert and Natalie Ayers, to actually put up some of their German superstitions all up along the first floor of this building. And you'll see these faces all up along the first floor of the Tower of Life. And one of these faces, they actually are what they call grotesque. The one that's supposed to ward off bad spirits and bad business from coming inside the building. Now, I'm going to back it up a little bit because I got to show you something. What's about these grotesques? Now, if you look all along this side of the building, you'll see these grotesque faces. And well, they're making really ugly faces. And you'll actually notice when they meet, there's going to be one of them sort of smiling and then one of them's going to be upset. And well, that's because they're actually a couple with one another. And the other one takes joy from the other one's sadness. Who would have known? Now, you'll actually see them smiling at once. And this is the only time that you'll see them smiling at once down on the building. And that's for a good reason. That's because they're actually not touching one another. They're separated from one another. You'll see right on this side of the building. This is the only time that you'll see them both smiling at once. Just right up here on this side. You actually see them both smiling. That's because they're separated from one another. Now, we're going to actually go a little further away from this Tower of Life building. And once you get a little further away from it, we'll actually see some gargoyles. Those are another German superstition that are attached to the building. And well, those gargoyles, they're supposed to come alive at night and protect the building from any wrongdoing. Well, have you guys know, they didn't do too great of a job because when the Tower of Life here was built in 1929, they had to put it up on sale, on auction, just about a year later after they finished construction on it. So we built it for around $3 million and had to sell it at that auction because of the stock market crash for around $300,000. So that's dimes on the dollar that we got back from that investment. Not a very good one if you ask me. Now if you look here on the right, you'll actually see the entrance to our old marina. Now, that is where we keep most of our boats, most of them that we decommissioned. But we have about 43 boats in our fleet. They're all electric. And, well, you also see a few parade boats that we have inside the old marina. These are where all the parade boats are going to be coming out of for when we ever have our Thanksgiving parade or Christmas parade, something like that. Maybe not Thanksgiving this year. I don't think we're celebrating it anymore. Now, if you look right behind me, you'll see the Tower of Life. Now, a lot of people like to say that the Tower of Life looks like a cruise ship from this angle. And well, you might be right. because what I hear is that there's a cruise ship that haunts this building. And you can't help but hear the haunting foghorn of this cruise ship lair whenever you pass through Floodgate 4, which you're heading through right now. So let's be quiet. See if we can hear it. Oh, guys, I think I might have heard something. Now heading right down into the main channel. Now this section of the river is about 10 to 15 feet deep. The section that we came out of, called the Better Bend, only about 3 to 4 feet deep. And well, most of that is all natural. The part that we did start our tour on, that was actually all man-made. That was all made just for the World Tour 1968. And well, this whole section here of the river, this is also man-made too. This section was actually excavated out after we had a terrible flood in 1921. That flood was so bad that the water level reached 9 feet above the street on Houston Street. It caused around millions of dollars in damages and around 50 casualties. So we have this whole section of the river excavated out just so that we can control the natural bend of the river a little bit better. And well, ever since we installed this flood control, we never had a terrible flood since. Now, if you would have came down here around 1920, this whole section along the river would have been here. It would have all been Fine Street level of San Antonio. Now, if you look here on the right side, we're going to be coming out alongside Erie Plaza Hotel. Now, this hotel actually found out the old Alamo National Bank, which is on the other side of this parking lot structure. But they got so bad about locking up a few of the Alamo National Bank for their parking lot structure that they actually offered to donate us this section of the Riverwalk. And will cost about $1.75 million to actually construct this section of the river. That's including the flower beds, the slow footbridge over here, the water feature, and also some of the stuff that we got over here at Main Plaza. Now, Main Plaza, that's where they got San Fernando Cathedral. That's also where they got Carroll County Courthouse, the oldest continuously operating courthouse in all of Texas. And well, if you go inside of the San Fernando Cathedral, you'll actually find the tomb of the fallen heroes of the Battle of the Alamo. That's where they got Davy Crockett, Travis C. Williams, and James Bowie all buried inside the same tomb inside of San Fernando. But I have you guys know, they actually never found any of their bodies after the Battle of the Alamo because they were such sore winners, they actually burned everybody. So the only thing inside that tomb is actually some of the personal possessions of those three, just so that we can remember them by. Now, you'll see Hubman's Oasis over here on the right. That's the one with the tiki torches. Not open today, but it's called Hubman's Oasis, after the architect of the Riverwalk being Robert H. Hubman. Now, if you look here on the left, you'll see this tree. Now, this tree stands about 100 feet tall. And what I've been told is that this is the oldest tree down here on the Riverwalk. It's been down here for about as long as we can remember. And well, it's been down here for so long, we know that it's been down here for the Battle of Ben Milam. All the way back in 1835, during that Battle of during that Battle of Behar. Sorry, it's the Battle of Behar, not the Battle of Ben Milam. Ben Milam was a local Texan during the Battle of Behar in 1835. That was actually just on the other side of the river. He was about to cross it. Little did he know that there was a Spanish sniper waiting right up in this tree for any Texas remote soldier that would try to cross the river and head over to the Alamo checkpoint. Now we headed right through Floodgate 3. Floodgate 3 works like a big old garage door. That metal slab that we just hovered right under. It'll actually fall right down if we get more than 2 to 3 inches of water over on this side of the river.